Hey, so, got any ideas for the podcast this week, mate?
Well, I think the podcast is going well.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, have you ever thought about having more horses in it?
Going to be pretty difficult since it's a whiskey podcast and we're also inside.
Or hounds, for that matter. Our viewers are equally intrigued by both of the species.
I'll consider it.
Well, the ravenous readers of Horse and Hound will be ever so delighted.
Okay, welcome back, Bottle Killers. We have another episode of Bottle Kill TV for you. Unfortunately, we didn't have any horses, we don't have any hounds, but we do have a new review. As always, I'm your host, it's Michael Roche, and as always, we have the often imitated and never duplicated El Bosho, the real Bottle Killer.
Here we go.
What do you want to say for yourself?
Feeling good, man. I'm ready for this one. I think definitely warmed up after the old Horse and Hound escapades. So
We went Stanley Kubrick to make that happen. So
Stanley.
We haven't actually watched it through. Hopefully it came out well, but yeah, we went full. I think it was easier to make Eyes Wide Shut than it was for us to make that 12-second skit. As always, just housekeeping. There's going to be a 2-minute review at the end of the review. So if it's already getting arduous or tedious, you just want to get straight to the whiskey, skip to the end. It'll be in chapter form, 2-minute review of the whiskey. Today we have Lindores, and Lindores have done an age statement, which has been a long time coming.
Absolutely.
It's actually just been 6 years coming.
Well, I think it's probably a bit longer than that, isn't it? Like,
Why does it say 6 on the bottle then?
That's the age of the whiskey, but like getting a distillery back up and running,
okay.
like, you know, like it didn't happen overnight.
It was like a twinkle in its mother's eye.
Yeah, big drew.
Just a twinkle. And so, yeah, I'm excited because as we've told this story before as our Australian fans,
They know.
they know on our previous Lindores episode,
Uh-huh.
shout out to our Australian fan, loved your comment. Like and subscribe, by the way. We like the comments, we like the likes and subscribes. This is our first distillery we ever visited in person.
Can you just
And
stop horsing around?
and you are hounding me out for a pun. So we were. This is our first distillery we ever visited. So it's got a little special place in the heart,
Yeah.
in the art.
Right there.
And we absolutely we're really anticipating them to really do well and really up their game and do it. We previously reviewed the bourbon cask. We really enjoyed their bourbon cask releases. I know you tried a bit more of the sherry, more the experimental releases. You've not missed one yet, have you?
No, I've got them all. Lindores, like you say, it's we've got a real affinity with it because it was the first distillery that we ever visited. I got a membership. Like, this was before they even released any whiskey, so it was all aqua vitae, wasn't it? That nice in the little cocktail. So I've been following
Roy.
the journey. The Brass Roxy.
The Brass Roxy, what a drink! Yeah, we Yeah, when we first visited Lindores, they weren't obviously if you want to produce a single malt whiskey, it has to be 3 years old and so they weren't ready to actually producing Scotch whiskey just yet. It wasn't 3 years old and
a day.
So what they did was they produced a spirit called aqua vitae.
Aqua vitae.
And it was strong.
It's nice though, you know. I've still got a tiny little bit downstairs because when I signed up for the membership, they sent you a bottle, and it's lovely with that ginger ale in that cocktail.
I was gonna say, if you ever got a glass and you buy a glass and there's like a label on it and you pull the label off and there's still the glue remaining, it's good to get the glue off. Not so much good for drinking. But when you added some ginger ale, a little slice of lime in it, we named it a Brass Roxy off Matthew will tell you next episode. But yeah, so we had a great time. We had a great time there. We kind of enjoyed the aqua vitae and the Brass Roxy there in a beautiful little bar. Actually, it was really well lit.
It's such a lovely place.
It would have been great for content.
It's an incredible place, isn't it? Like, it's so, serene, and it's got like the orchards outside, the vineyards, all that kind of stuff. And it's like really, because it dates back to one of the USPs of Lindores is that they've got the first historical record of Scotch whiskey actually being distilled. So there was
Mel Gibson.
No, that was Braveheart.
Well, William Wallace, right? Wasn't he drinking aqua vitae?
Something to do with that. So it was the King James at the time commissioned one of the monks. So these were monks that came over from France, which when we were on the tour, it was quite interesting because there's I think like the Irish and the Scotch kind of have a lot of the Irish people that I know say like we invented whiskey, like we had it first. But it was really interesting to hear that it was actually like monks from France because they were distilling and creating spirits, different kinds, and then it became, obviously, when they put it in the oak barrels, started making it into Scotch. So it was interesting to hear that actually did Scotch whiskey originate in France by proxy. But it was a guy, Friar John Core, commissioned by the king at the time, King James IV, commissioned him to turn 8 bowls of Marley into aquavitae. So that's why they got the aquavitae, the water of life. And now they're doing Scotch again, like 500 years plus, and it's back. So here we go.
And now you know why we do the 2-minute review. Okay, let's jump in. You've actually poured 2 drams down. So tell me why do we have 2 drams? What were you thinking?
So as we said, what we got in the glass here is the first age statement that Lindores have released exclusively to the members. Lucky enough to get 2 bottles of this, and it's a bourbon cask maturation. Now, Lindores do 3 types of core casks. They have sherry casks, bourbon casks, and SDR casks, which are shaved, toasted, and recharred. And they've done casks of Lindores
Shaved like coconuts.
I was going to say shaved like something else, but we'll go with coconuts.
Keep it PG.
Yeah, don't worry, this isn't for children, so it's all over 18. It's fine. But yeah, back to the whiskey. So they do 3 different types of casks, and they do casks of Lindores releases: a bourbon cask, a sherry cask, and an STR cask. Now, we've enjoyed the casks of Lindores bourbon casks. We bought a bottle. We absolutely nailed a whole bottle of it on the whiskey tour. So because this 6-year-old is a bourbon cask maturation, and we were talking the other day when we were reviewing the Lafroig 18, I thought it'd be pretty cool to see that graduation. The cask of Lindores here is probably a younger, it's probably 3, maybe bourbon cask. Cask of Lindores 2, probably 4 years old maybe. We got a 6-year-old whiskey. So what I want to do today is compare the 2. How has the extra years in the cask developed the spirit? What flavours has it added? What's the difference? So that's what we're going for today.
It was definitely aged to glass on the bottle.
What do you mean? Oh, because it's black.
It's less transparent than it was.
I think they do like really nice bottles. I love this matte black. The only thing that I
They're
don't
very
like
different.
is
I like the different.
Yeah.
They're unique in their own way. Yeah, that's good.
it's like the Octomores do the matte black.
Yeah.
And the only thing is that being a bottle killer, it's like you don't know how much is left. You're like, because Octomore, you kind of like, it's expensive, how much is left, and then you just get to the bottom and you're like, oh shit, another one bites the dust.
So tell me what you're getting on the nose first. You've actually had this before. You bought this a couple of weeks ago, and you've already sort of dove in, so to speak.
Just got acquainted with it. So I think there's so much of the fruity orchard fruits, apples, pears, distillery character that I associate with Lindores. Obviously, that classic vanilla custard creams, and one of the kind of unique notes that I picked out with this is, I don't know much about the fermentation that they do, but we talk a lot about the longer fermentations giving tropical fruit flavors. Do you remember Blackjacks, the penny sweets?
Oh, I love Blackjacks.
They had like a sister, fruit salads.
Yeah.
Fruit salads.
Yeah,
I get fruit salad notes in this, like really tropical, really kind of like candy, lovely kind of just sweet. Yeah,
that's a really good. That's a great taste.
It's so good.
Yeah,
like juicy fruit bubblegum, fruit salads.
Just that whole candy range. They were in the same family as like Flumps and stuff. They were just banging, knocking about the park. Bassets, were they Bassets? They were just knocking about the park back in the day, weren't they?
Bassets, yeah. But it's lovely. You know, it's got those kind of oak spiciness. It's 49.4%. So going back to the history.
So smooth.
The record, it does drink smooth, doesn't it? The record is historically when John Core was commissioned to produce the Aquavitae was in 1494. So the distillery kind of strength is 49.4%. You see on the bottle it says 1494. So we're coming in just under 50%, but it drinks so smooth. It's not hot, it doesn't go like it's just.
It's got a bit more edge on the finish.
It does have the spice comes through in the finish, doesn't it? Definitely.
A little bit bit of spice on the
Yeah.
end.
I agree with you on that.
And it's quite thin on the as a whiskey. It kind of reminds me a bit of the on the thin side of like but it's kind of like a nice like a more like delectable thin like kind of like the the umami that we tried. It kind of has that on the tongue when it comes in.
Yeah. And it's a lowland, right? So you would expect that kind of lighter, more floral kind of character, which
Yeah, I
you
describe
get
it,
like.
it's like a breath. Remember when I described that whiskey as a breath? It's like a little bit more than a breath, but it's still just got that lovely. It's like a lovely thin. It's not a thick, oily bad boy.
No.
Like we've been accustomed to on some of the recent episodes.
Yeah, I get it, definitely, but it's not. It's not lacking in flavour. It doesn't have quite the viscosity that some of the other whiskies that we've tried, but there's no lack of flavour. Like it's a punchy kind of like
It's
packed
delectable.
with. Yeah. It's
So
really good.
we're gonna do a bit of a compare and contrast. So I know this is the bourbon cask.
Yeah.
But was it the cask release 1 or 2 that we
This
have in
is
the glass now?
number 2.
Number
This is
2, okay.
cask of Lindores bourbon cask 2.
Oh wow, totally different.
So different, isn't it?
Totally different. Wow.
And it is lighter. I get a lot of kind of like vanilla fudge in that, certainly on the palate. Again, it's a lovely dram, but like just to try it side by side with this, like this one for me comes in thinner than this one.
It's going. It's like. It's sometimes when like if say you're watching UFC and the co-main event is absolute banger, then the main event can't live up to the expectation. The next fight you watch can't live up to expectation. It's almost like that has been so enjoyable going back to this, going back down. It's kind of like,
and this
I don't think I can give a fair assessment on it because
but this
it
is
doesn't
what
have the delectableness.
this is why I wanted to do this, is because like we really enjoyed this. Like we drank a bottle of it in the bus on the whiskey tour, and then had to buy a replacement. So this is my replacement here, and trying this on its own is like a lovely whiskey, but trying it next to this, it's like, okay, now we've got the age statement. Like those couple of extra years in the cask have really developed it and just made it much more enjoyable. I think like I definitely prefer the 6-year-old.
We always say that your palate goes through seasons, and recently what I've been really noticing is like the sweeter whiskies have really been the ones that I've been enjoying, and that's actually had me straying into sherry territory.
Yeah.
But it's the sweeter whiskies. This has got such a lovely sweetness to it,
It's very sweet. Yeah, it's got like a
and this doesn't have that same sweetness, and maybe
No.
that's my hesitation with it.
Do you know custard creams? The biscuits. It's got that kind of like that nice vanilla custard kind of note to it as well, hasn't it? It's good. I really love it. Like I'm so pleased because
After 2 or 3 sips, I'm adjusting back into it.
yeah,
But that jump was huge.
and then you'll go back to this one and you'll be like, okay, here we go.
But yeah, this is old school 90s British sweets, or candy as the Americans will say. But
Yeah.
it's the sweets,
It
it's like
is.
this reminds me of like the Island Home and Bargain. Get some goodies when you it's a Saturday. You've been like, I've been to the gym twice.
Treat myself.
I deserve some Bassets. The sherbet dip dab. I think they were Bassets as well. I used to love a blackjack as well.
It is. And this is so much smoother. Like it's got just more balance. Like it is a graduation, like we said.
So there's a little bit of edge to it, a bit of roughness on the end, on the finish, right? It's not very long on the finish,
No.
but that first sweetness is like that's worth the ticket to entry.
Ticket to ride.
How much was it?
I think it was 60.
It was very, very reasonable for
Like I
a
said,
new
so
distillery.
so what they did is, because I'm a member, they emailed us and they were like, first age statement, like kind of, I was like, oh, it's like Lockley again, like first time they're doing an age statement,
Yeah.
got to get on it. And I was like, admittedly, like Lindores is the only kind of whiskey that I have collected, because I bought into it early, and it's more because the year that we went, it was the first distillery that we went to. It was also the year that my first son was born. And I intend to drink them. Like, I looking at them the other day, I was thinking, like, oh, that looks good. Like a cognac cask finish. Sounds incredible. But one day, like, I want to open them when my son turns 18 and, like, share them with him and say, oh, I've been collecting these since you were born, like, you know, for me to share with you. So when this came out, like 6 years old, I was like, I get a bottle, I probably never get to try it. And we get this email. It's like, oh, some members didn't buy the bottles, or they've got some left. Like, you can literally, it doesn't have a membership number on. The one that I've put away has got my membership number on. And it was like, you can just literally buy another bottle. I was like, straight in, let's get it. And
So is this available for people to buy?
no, only members. And it's sold out now, even for members.
Oh, well, that was a good review.
So we're just like a tease.
Yeah, but like
Yeah, you can't get this. However,
like Jim Bowen used to say on Bullseye.
No.
Here's what you could have won.
Here's what you could have drank. Yeah, but Lindores are obviously going to release an age statement to general public soon. So this is kind of like what you can expect when it drops. Like,
What would you rather have, this or a speedboat? Classic bully. So the interesting thing with the Lindores and the age statement is that it really seems to signify that they feel they're ready if it's a 6-year-old.
yeah,
Right? Because who did we just drink? The
Ardnahoe.
Ardnahoe.
Yeah.
It was 5-year-old, right?
Yeah.
Locklear was 5-year-old.
Luckily,
They've
5.
waited
Yeah.
for 6-year-old. Maybe that's a marketing thing. Maybe it's just that they feel like it just needed an extra year in the cask in order to produce that. But it's I think it's really wonderful. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a little thin, it's a little young, but if you're judging it on a 6-year-old, for £60 and just the economics of new distilleries, young distilleries, they're always going to have slightly higher prices, slightly higher premiums, because they're not the big machine that the big guys are.
Yeah.
They're kind of more artisan, more boutique-y, and so you're going to pay an extra few pounds. But for something this unique, I think it's wonderful. I think they've totally delivered on what I was hoping they'd become.
Yeah, I agree. And I just had another sip of the Casks of Lindores bourbon, and it is like, when you compare them side by side, it's way more new makey. So you do get that kind of like, not like kind of like a burn. Yeah, it's like a lot sharper, and it doesn't have as much of the wood influence. But this, obviously, like you're saying there, the extra couple of years in the cask has really given it that kind of like caramelly, you know, the flavors of the wood are really coming through. This one, way more spirit driven. This one, lots more of the wood character.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. It's like, isn't it just great to like try them side by side and see how the wood actually affects the spirit, and like the jump when these have got a 12-year-old, like I still want to have some of this left so I can go, oh, the 6-year-old and then the 12-year-old and try them side by side.
Well, it's just the sweetness of it.
Yeah.
You know, the sweetness is wonderful. Your mum owns a Lindores cask, right?
No, she's got a Ben Rinnes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For some reason I thought she had a Lindores, but this is for me. Let's go to the so is it a buy? Is it not a buy? For you, Mr. Bottle Killer, is it a buy?
I love it. I think it's an absolute buy, and I'm so like excited about this distillery, the future, what they're going to be bringing out, and you know, more age statements, sherry cask age statements, STR age statements. I think Lindores has got a real bright future. So, for me, absolute buy.
Yeah, and I think it was one where this was the first trip. This is the first distillery we went when we left Edinburgh. So I'm guessing it's not too far from Edinburgh.
It's in Fife, yeah.
So
it's Lowlands. So
the
yeah.
distillery is a fantastic place to visit if you're in Edinburgh and you want to visit a distillery. I think it's a very scenic one.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Beautiful distillery to visit. And now, rather than just doing the aquavitae and the sort of the harder, less mature stuff, they've actually got something that you can really go and enjoy. I think they've got a bright future, Lindores. I'm excited to see it. I'm rooting for them. I think it's a buy, definitely a buy.
100%.
So okay, well, I'm saving that little bit for the 2-minute review. So I'd
Yeah,
say
same.
Bottle Killer, take them out.
Well, thanks once again for joining us. Really appreciate it. I hope you've had a good time. I've had a great time. Michael, have you had a good time?
It's been a bye.
And we'll see you next time on Bottle Kill TV. So, as we promised, we've got your 2-minute review so you can just get the tasting notes of this whiskey and see if it's for you or not. Michael, why don't you kick us off?
I'm really impressed. Really, really impressed. So we've always been rooting for Lindores. On the don't get me wrong, it's a little bit, you can tell it's young.
You can.
It is a little bit hot on the finish, a little bit spicy on the finish, but when it comes in, it's so smooth, so fruity, so sweet, and I love the sweetness right now.
Yeah, 100%. So nose to finish, it's a sweet, beautiful whiskey with loads of fruit flavors, orchard fruits, pears, apples. It's got this beautiful kind of tropical note. So I described it as fruit salad penny sweets, if you remember those, like very similar to the blackjacks. You got the vanillas moving into the palate. You got some beautiful custard cream biscuit kind of notes. Again, the orchard fruits are there. And then kicking into the finish, you got a little bit of that kind of like white pepper touch, little oak spice coming through in the finish. It is a bit of a short finish, but it's a young whiskey. But it's really coming in good. It's a lovely, lovely, sweet lowland whiskey.
It's an absolute delight. I think Lindores have really delivered. I'm really excited to see where they go. You know, on the previous release, the cask, we said that there was a really high quality spirit going in. That's why the bourbon cask was good. Now it's on an age statement. Now it's getting older. It's maturing in a wonderful way. This is one to watch for me.
I think they've got a beautiful character to the spirit that they're producing. Fruity, sweet, floral, everything you'd expect of a lovely lowland whiskey. And for me, Lindores is one to watch. So keep your eyes peeled.
Alright, let's go again. Maybe if we were going to have any more horses. It's actually, it's not bad to read this actually.
What about the hounds?
Reigns is the restricted. So here's a good one. How about Hunsley Beacon Trinket reigns as the unrestricted bagel bitch winner? Just reading this for the first time, I feel like hounds are actually a little underrepresented. I think there should be more hound in Horse in the Hound. Ravenous, ravenous, ramunctious. Readers of Horse and the Hound will be ever so delighted. I know a horse with a good head and a kind heart. He bounced across the ring to win the unentered. What does that even mean? This report is written from two opposing perspectives, the judges and the breeder of the judged.
The breeder of the judge.
That's it.
What, the judge's dad or mum?
Run it back. This report is written from two opposing perspectives, the judge and the breeder of the judged.
I don't get it.
So, page bloody 82 before I see a hound. Come on.